Councilmember Schroeder,
Here.
Councilmember Jablonski, Councilmember Bright Cruz.
Here.
Vice Mayor Fisickelli.
Here.
And Mayor McKay.
Here.
Do we have to make another motion
Yep.
to excuse? I make a
do.
motion that we excuse Gary Jablonski, council member.
Second. Okay. Go ahead and call the question.
Councilmember Schroeder,
Yes.
Councilmember Bright Cruz.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fisickelli.
Yes.
Mayor McKay.
Yes. If we could stand for the pledge, please. All right. Public comment. Do we have any public comment?
Yes, Mayor, we have 3 comments tonight. Newell Hollingsworth, Mike Hanley. Last is David Kaczynski, in that order.
Okay, good evening. My name is Newell Hollingsworth, 199th Avenue. And this evening, I am going to step aside as chair of the comprehensive plan, and the reason is this, that I did not even realize I was doing it at the time, but I entered that great swamp of personal attack. And I have spoke out against people who have personal attacks. Policy attacks are acceptable, but personal attacks are not. And therefore, I am removing myself as chair of the Comprehensive Plan Board at this moment. And will work diligently to work on policy attacks and not personal attacks, which is so common within our nation right now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Noel.
Thank you. Mike, come on. David, you're right after him.
Mike Hanley on 50th Place, off of 205. We have a problem. You've gated our community to the point where I'm isolated. I can only get in and out of my house and my home through 205 Avenue on Griffin Road. Now, with the school, both of them, or 3 of them, down on Bonaventure, as well as the one with the private school right behind us, the church, and other traffic. Now I understand the state's going to start emphasizing Holiday Park. You can't get in and out, particularly on Sunday morning when that cop is telling traffic to come out of that church minute after minute after minute. You can't get out. I want that fixed. Either expand Griffin Road, which I don't see is forthcoming, maybe put a stop sign out there so that at least we have a chance to get out. Make it, but right now, you can't get out. The solution is remove those damn gates. Why did you not put them in on 172nd or 183rd and Dykes Road to block the whole community from going north and south from Pembroke Pines? I didn't have a problem with Pembroke Pines when you put the gates in. I gave you 120 signatures of people that didn't want them, but you ignored that. So now, my last suggestion, and I don't care, Keith, if it's against the law or not. Give me a damn clicker so at least I can go south. That's the cheapest and easiest and fastest way to solve it. All the people that live in Pembroke Pines have a clicker to go up the new road that they built, 207. I see that they don't give anybody else a clicker in that city. Is it against the law for them too, Keith, to have a clicker?
Yeah, Mike, we're in litigation with them, and a court's going to find very soon that they have to take that gate down.
Well, which gate? Our gate or their gate?
The Franklin Academy gate.
Well, in the meantime, I would like to have a clicker to get in and out of my community to the south. I don't care if it's against the law. It seems like Pembroke Pines got away with it. They're a hell of a lot bigger than we are. Why should I? What if I had an emergency and I had a heart attack or I had some other crisis that I needed to get the hell out of that neighborhood to get to the hospital? I can't. Am I going to sue Southwest Ranches for impeding me? You didn't impede the whole community. You only impeded 199, 202, 205. Why in the hell did you do the rest of the places, like the streets I just mentioned? They're free and clear north and south. Give me a damn clicker, Keith. And then you don't have to give them to anybody that doesn't ask for them. My next door neighbor owns the house beside me and the lot behind me. That lot is in Pembroke Pines. She can't get a clicker because her house is in Southwest Ranches. You could just as easily impede people from getting a clicker by denying it to them. You don't have to give them a reason. Just say, we don't have one. But I'd like to have one. And I'd like to resolve it. Is it possible to sue Southwest Ranches if I have an emergency and I can't get out because the roads are blocked?
All right, time's up, Mike. Sorry.
Time's up.
Hi, good evening, Council. David Kaczynski, 6411 Holity Trail. I'm going to try to get through this really quick. Last night we had our meeting. There's been discussions about, from several of our board members about the parade. Just want to update, let know that meetings are going forward with organizing the parade. In the Sunshine Ranches neighborhood, there have been mail thefts. I was walking my dogs one day and there was some mail on the ground, and later that day, Robert, our mail carrier, came up and said that to report to my HOA that there have been mail thefts and the federal government is checking into that. At our upcoming July meeting, we will be having a public speaker. His name is Professor Stanley Cohen. He is Vice Dean over at the Health Professions over at Nova. He, in his, I guess, past life, earlier life, was a driver for the well-known scientist Albert Einstein. So I'd like to welcome everybody to come out, listen to what he's got to say. I think it's going to be very interesting. And finally, everybody saw our signs that are up there. It was suggested to me that we should have run the signs through the Rural Arts Advisory Board. I'll take partial responsibility for not doing that. My mistake, and I want to give an apology to the council and to the advisory board. There was no intention of disparaging you or ignoring it or anything. It was just a mistake. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? We're good, that's it? Public comment? No more? No. Okay, board reports. Do we have any board reports? My mic's turned down a little low, I think. Testing, testing, testing. Hello, okay. No board reports? Seeing no board reports. Council member comments. Dee, go ahead.
I wasn't going to make any, and then after hearing from one of the residents, and he's not in the room right now, but I would like to say what he did was extremely admirable. I have a lot of respect, and if he can fix in any way, shape, or form anybody that talks bad about other people in any way, shape, or form, whether you're on a board or not, I think we should all take and put the hat out and give them some money and let them go to Washington and clean up that dirty mess. Because they're absolutely a bunch of deplorables in there. That is like the worst. But again, I would like to say years of service, greatly appreciated. I appreciate him knowing when enough is enough, and, you know, I have a lot of respect for that. So that's what I would like to say to Board Member Chair, Mr. Hollingsworth. Thank you.
Steve?
Thank you. Yeah, I echo your sentiments. I appreciate what Newell did, and it's a good example. I wanted to mention a couple other things. Mike, in reference to your question a meeting ago, or it might have been 2 meetings ago, but I think it was last meeting, regarding the synchronization of lights on Griffin Road. I did hear back. I inquired of the Broward County Traffic, and I did hear back from them, and basically their response is that it's a difficult place to synchronize the lights east and west because the majority of the traffic in those locations by us is not going east and west, it's going north and south, specifically on Weston and 172nd and all that. So Weston Road, Dykes, and so they committed to take a look at it, but I'm just being honest with you that the feedback I got was not encouraging because their priority is north-south traffic, not east-west traffic at our location. So we'll see if anything more comes of it, but we did check on it. It's up to the mayor, but let me finish up my comments, if that's all right. All right, and then, David, in the meeting, HOA, Sunshine Ranches meeting last night, a couple of questions came up, and I just wanted to respond to those. We had some resident input from Sunshine Ranches last night regarding a couple of things to do with Waste Pro. One of them is speeding that's going on there, and so I contacted Andy about that, and the administration is going to, and I know Sandy will probably be taking a look at this as well, but this is not the first time we've heard that, and we are going to follow up with them. My understanding is they have GPS in the truck, so they should be able to do some research on that and hopefully find the offenders. The other thing was the continued gouging of the swales. I think we've all seen that to one degree or another. And so that's something that I think, and had traded emails with Andy, and I agree with kind of the direction here. I really think that we may need to have a council kind of consensus on that. I don't know if we need to bring in somebody from Waste Pro, but I'm starting to believe that there is just a difference in procedures in how Waste Management did this versus how Waste Pro does it, meaning that I think that I remember before, the individual was usually operating the equipment from outside the vehicle previously, and now I think they're operating all the equipment from inside the vehicle, and I think that that may be an issue, and they're just not getting out there and really seeing the damage that's being done at the time. But anyway, we need to do more research. We need to get to the bottom of it and see what we can do to not have this. I mean, I think they've been very good when there's a complaint to come out and refill it and throw some seed down there, and that's good, but it would be better if we were not having the damage in the first place. And then the last thing was, I think it came up last night about the dunks, and apparently the town still does have some dunks in the inventory, so you can let them know that it's kind of a first come, first serve, and then depending on the demand, they're not expensive, so we may be able to replenish the supply. But certainly there are some available for residents that would like to have them. It's mosquito season, those you can put out into your ponds and things like that, places where you have standing water. They are safe for all wildlife, and just not safe for the mosquito variety of wildlife. So, but there are some available here in Town Hall. Thank you.
Freddie, anything? You good? Okay.
I'll copy you on.
I'm good. Just want to thank everybody for coming out to our meetings and participating. We have 2 meetings a month, so if you can't make one, hopefully you can make another. So don't hesitate. This is the time you get to come out and see us, speak to us, ask questions, whatever you need to do. Usually people have an issue before they end up coming out, but if you got nothing better to do on a Thursday night, come on out and see us. Other than that, I'm good. I'm going to go legal comments. Keith, you're
Sure,
up.
Mayor, just real brief. We've been dragged to court a couple of times this week as it relates to the war between Waste Management and Bergeron. We went to a hearing the other day that we were required to go to. We're not even in the litigation, and we have been subpoenaed numerous times, including Russell today, to be deposed as well. So it's interesting where we've moved past them all, and we're the only municipality that made provisions for another option,
Ahead of that.
way ahead of every other municipality. And because of our decision to drop them, which was the absolute proper decision, they're trying to drag us into the litigation as to the reasons why we dropped them. In order, Bergeron's trying to prove that we dropped them because they wouldn't agree to an extension, and Waste Management's trying to prove that we dropped them not because of that, but for other reasons. So as the world turns, I think my deposition is coming up on the 20-something. We're trying to get Russell's not to occur. And I'm what they call the 30B6 witness for the town. What that means is that they ask for the person with the most knowledge about the contractual issues between the parties. I offered Andy, Andy offered me. I lost the coin flip. Unfortunately, even though we are not a party to this litigation, it's taken up some time to try to deal with these warring mongrels. But I can assure the council that even with the issues that you're experiencing with the new vendor, and hopefully all those get ironed out, to be where everyone else is right now is a horrific scenario, that their waste rates are going to be so dramatically higher that even with your slight increase that you may have on fire now after, what's occurring, the waste would have been at least double, from what I'm hearing. So that's it, Mayor.
Anything new? One night we had to court with litigation with,
Which one?
on the detention center.
Oh,
We
the-
joined
The
forces.
detention center, as the council knows, we're letting CCA take the
Lead.
lead. And I believe that will result in a tremendous cost savings to the town, and also give us resources that we couldn't even imagine because of financial reasons that we were watching, every dollar. CCA filed, I think 2 weeks ago, a revised complaint, because now that their case is over, they wanted to make sure that their complaint was perfect. They added a couple more causes of action. We may join on some of them, including tortious interference that we didn't have before. And again, we're just watching on the sidelines now, since this isn't really us. But Pines immediately filed another motion to dismiss for another time, trying to dismiss the CCA's claim, which is really crazy considering the Court of Appeals already upheld it. And it's likely the court's going to look at this and say, why are you wasting everyone's time on this? But the quickest hearing that the judge had to even look at the papers is September. Okay, and that's the first time it goes back is in September. CCA will be deposing numerous Pines residents very shortly. I saw on their list that they want to take in the next couple of days, meaning weeks for them, will be Ryan Greenberg and others of the anti-prison detention center movement. So we will be attending those, and thankful that our big brother CCA is taking the lead in the expenditures and handling all those.
So when will that take place?
We will have popcorn, indeed, don't worry.
Oh, I can't wait. I'm so excited.
Hopefully that answered your question, Matt.
All right, so they're going to obviously set aside, 2 weeks for this trial moving forward? Or?
Oh, no, when the trial eventually occurs, which we hope will be in the first quarter of the
Next year.
Next year, right, that it will be a minimum of 2 weeks. It may actually end up being more than that.
Okay. Okay, nothing else? We're good? Andy, I think you're up to bat.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of things. There was discussion from the floor and on the dais on swales before. As you all, I'm sure, remember, at the conclusion of the last meeting, I had given you a memo that Sandy Luongo had prepared on the swale damage and some of the challenges we're facing with that. So there's not a doubt in my mind that it warrants more council discussion. So I wanted to get some input from you all. Do you think that's something we should put as a discussion item in July, or do you think it would warrant a separate workshop? I'm not sure how much time it'll take. So I just wanted to get a sense of if you wanted to do it as part of a regular council meeting, or if you thought it warranted a special workshop at let's say, 6 o'clock. And obviously, then we'll go ahead and get it scheduled for more discussion.
And I would think a workshop where we could really let the residents know, get a lot more feedback from them.
My only, I agree that we need the resident input. What I'm wondering is if we have, normally during the summer, we have some light, like tonight's agenda is light. I think more residents come at our normal meetings than any other time. So if we have a regular meeting, but this really be what the meeting's about,
yeah.
The focal point, and move other business to other, then we kind of have the benefits of focusing on that issue, but also the benefits of a regular.
So you want it as a discussion item in a light meeting?
In a light meeting.
Yeah,
We'll make
that
it
we have plenty of time. Yeah, it won't be a light meeting, but it'll become a longer meeting because of the discussion item.
Correct.
But other than that, a short agenda meeting.
Correct.
Gotcha. Okay, so,
I agree. That's good.
okay.
Good
Okay, so
idea.
we'll look at the upcoming meetings for July and pick the appropriate time and get it on there for more
Okay.
discussion, so you guys can get a chance to chew on it.
Okay, sounds good.
The other thing I have is I just wanted to let you know that Toll Brothers, which is building that project out in Rolling Oaks, had submitted through Melgren a landscape change plan. What they want to do is take some of the existing landscaping on that site and relocate it. They have submitted that through Jeff Kadams at Melgren, who's had Casey Lee look at it. I've also gotten some input from December on that. It enhances the original landscape plan that was submitted as part of their site plan approval. So I don't know, to what level of depth that council would like to look at that. I can certainly forward that string of emails to you so you can see what's involved with that. But I just want to let you know they would like to relocate some of those trees. As I said, Casey looked at it and her feeling was the plan would only be enhanced from what was submitted. So they're not cutting back on landscaping, they're actually improving it. So I just wanted to give you all a heads up. It's obviously a very minor tweak to.
So
to what was
basically, it's
submitted.
a landscape site plan modification.
Correct. Minor, but
Okay.
yes, it is. But I did want to give you all a heads up on
You
it.
have like an overview shot of old and new?
I've got email back and forth, no graphics, but I will get a copy of that and share that with you as well.
I think a little map thing, if they had one, would be better than a whole lot of emails to read.
No problem. I'll get that summary document for you, and I'll get that out to council.
When are they looking to have a response to that?
Really as quickly as possible.
The reason why I ask is this, is that I know at the last Rolling Oaks
Yeah.
meeting, they had a representative from Toll Brothers there. He talked about a number of things. I don't think this was one of them, though. He talked about signage and
He was probably more sales and marketing oriented.
correct,
Yeah.
correct. So, but my point is this, they are doing a great job of reaching out to Rolling Oaks and getting input, but I think this would be another thing that if we have the time to kind of let the folks of Rolling Oaks know that what's going on and get their opinion on it, I think that would also be beneficial.
Okay. I'll work on it from that standpoint. Thank you, Mayor. It's all I had tonight.
Okay. All right. Number 8, Russell.
This is the resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, approving a budget amendment to the fiscal year 2017-2018 budget for emergency roadway repairs. Approving a budget amendment to the fiscal year 2017-2018 budget for traffic signs and approving a budget amendment for the fiscal year 2017-2018 general fund and providing for an effective date.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, any public comment on this matter? Seeing no public comment is closed. Back to us. Any discussion on the matter?
How much, what kind of signage are we looking at? How many? I mean, are we talking replacing?
Andy, who's going
20,
to answer
30?
this the best?
I'll take a swing at it to start with.
Okay.
My original understanding of this proved to be incorrect, which was some of the damage that was caused by hurricanes. And I've since learned, as I shared with you all via email, that was charged to a different line item. However, we've had a lot of road damage. We've had, obviously, the wettest May in history. We've had a very, very wet spring, which has resulted in more potholes. We had a lot more heavy equipment running on the roadways last year with debris cleanup, so that's created a problem there. The signs that were directly attributable to the hurricane went out of a different light item, and those things have been replaced. However, there was damage to signs, things that were loosened. We've had a run on graffiti. These are very necessary expenses from that standpoint, from a public safety standpoint, where we're repairing potholes. This is not TISDOR related, this is not luxury. This is necessary roadway repairs that need to be made from potholes and those kinds of damages. If we have stop signs or street signs that are down, those are things that need to be done. And it's been inordinately expensive this year, unfortunately, but we're just trying to keep up with those items.
I've seen over time where the potholes have been let go, so they're not really potholes anymore, they're crevices, they're craters. I mean, they get huge. It's ridiculous. And I can't even tell you how many times I was going to swing into Home Depot and just get a bag of coal patch and dump it in there and let the cars just run over it. When you let it get that bad, the expense has got to be more. It has to be.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no way not to. So for us to put something in the newsletter, to have people say, oh, by the way, there's a size of maybe a baseball, it's starting. It's something to be looked at right away. When it gets to be a certain point, that's it. It's got to be fixed. Because to keep letting them go, like I said, is ridiculous. I mean, we had a couple on Palomino that I had seen, and I just watched them get bigger and bigger and bigger, and I'm like, okay, when are they going to get to these? Because now, number one, it requires more the coal patch that's going in it. So if we can stay on top of that, I don't really have a problem because
No,
I don't like running over.
No, Councilman, I think that's appropriate. I think the problem for us sometimes is just an awareness, and our residents are in some ways used to those kinds of things, and they may not always be as quick to report it when they're smaller and when they get bigger. We've tried to respond quicker, and I think our service and taking care of those things has actually been improved. But if we're not aware of it, I think that might be, I'll say, future column for the mayor in the newsletter, maybe one of those things where you'll actually cost the town less by reporting those to us when they're smaller and easier to be addressed than to, ignore it until your car falls into it,
But even building up your property and letting water sit out on the road, with all the chemicals and everything that's in it, plus what's in the road. I mean, it just eats away at it. We've had to dig trenches, literally, in my front yard to get the water to drain off because everybody's built up, and I don't want to see that anymore. I want to see us start getting a little bit, we don't have to get nasty, but we can get a little tougher and say, you know what?
Right.
That's town easement anyways, you really should not have built that up.
Right.
So,
Right. Yeah, interesting thing, so I'm on 195th, and generally 195th has been a very good road as far as being it's being maintained, but there just hasn't been a whole lot of potholes on it. It was built right, I guess, in the first place. But it is getting near end of life, and there are potholes now that are starting to appear on the road. And so I saw a couple of them, and, I reported them to Town Hall. Hey, we've got some potholes on my road, let's fix them. And it was brought to my attention that this is a portion of the road that is owned by the resident. The town does not have the easement, right, or the right-of-way to be able to fix those. So, so it's interesting, when you get to see these things firsthand, you get to see the complexity of the issue a little bit closer than just hearing about it. And so, so since the town cannot fix it, I wanted to have a conversation with the residents, so I went to their door and knocked on their door a couple of times, but, I'll just say they didn't answer the door, so, what can you do? So, I must be, anyway, so they didn't answer the door, and so I left a couple notes and things like that. But what I'm wondering is, in a situation like that, I don't know, because I didn't have a chance, didn't have the opportunity to talk to them, but I suspect, maybe it's true of them, maybe it's not, I don't want to assume anything, but I suspect that there's a good chance that they're waiting for the town to fix that pothole in their front of their, that, they don't realize that it's their responsibility, because most residents assume that the town maintains the roads, they don't maintain the roads, and that they're waiting for the town, and they're probably, in their house thinking, why isn't the town out here fixing my pothole, while the town is thinking, why aren't they fixing the pothole? You know what I mean? So, so what I'm wondering is, in those situations where a pothole is reported, and it's on a private, so I'm basically on private property, is there any policy in place to contact that resident and let them know that it's their responsibility? And oh, by the way, if you want to turn it over to the town, we're happy to do that, and then it's our responsibility. Is there anything like that going on?
On the private roadway, our option, which we've done in the past, and I don't think we've done it out on 195 yet, but our option would be to actually cite them through the code process. because they're responsible for the road, they're not maintaining it, and so they're creating a hazard to themselves and to their neighbors potentially. So we have a code process that we can do that. Now, as far as asking them to give it to us and making us responsible, then we come into the question, which is a different question, of what level will we accept on that roadway in
So,
order.
all right,
that-
so
that's a
let's
different
back up, let's
discussion.
back up, because that's not where I'm going.
Okay.
And, okay, what I'm talking about is an education process, okay? So these are brand-new potholes. These are not huge potholes. This is not a situation where the road has been in disrepair for, 10 or 15 years. This is a pretty reasonable road that is now starting to get potholes. So there's like a series of 4 potholes there. But I'll tell you what, they're getting bigger every day, Dee, to your point. So what I'm talking about is basically an education process, because I think they're waiting for us and we're waiting for them. And so then, finally, we're waiting for some resident to get mad enough to report them to code, and, and then we're on a whole nother path that I would just as soon avoid, right? I would rather, while the potholes are new and they're small, either have them take care of it, or even better, say, you know what, I don't really want to take care of it. Let's turn it over to the town, and then it's not a big expense for the town, and they can take care of it. So I'm just thinking that there needs to be a process in place that when those things are reported initially on much of 195th, this is not the case, but there are some locations where it is the case. So this isn't like a private road. This is generally a non-private road, but there are some properties that own to the middle of the road. And so I just think there needs to be a process in place to where we can do this education right out of the box. And to your point, maybe part of that letter is, and oh, by the way, down the road, if somebody were to complain, it would become a code issue, and, so that may be part of the education. I think that's good, but I would hate for that to be the initial response from the town is, fix it, or you're in front of the special magistrate.
Yeah, but couldn't they be given a letter saying, okay, because you own, this is your responsibility, we can do it, you give us a
You
letter.
get an attorney down here, ask him.
Of course, you can send them a letter and just ask them, we can do this, but then we have to bill you for it because it's yours, or you can turn it over to us. You're driving down the street, this pothole gets really, really big, you throw your car out of alignment, or you damage it in some way,
Or it just makes the whole neighborhood less.
But I think sending them a letter stating, that you own this, and technically it's your responsibility, we hate to turn it over to code, but if it's not fixed within a reasonable amount of time, we have no choice.
We have no choice.
We have no choice.
Yeah, we could certainly draft a standard letter that we could use in those cases.
Yeah, and I just think we have to have some way of kind of identifying that when those calls come in.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be the trickiest part, is, somebody complains about a pothole. I think, Emily, you get a lot of those, and that just
Should get a rod.
just became.
Potholes should get a rod.
Or the rod, yeah.
Yeah.
But anyhow.
He's got nothing else to do.
When those calls come in, that's like one of the first things we check, is to see if
Actually, those calls come in, on a regular basis, certainly depending on the time of year, and they'll go through Rod or Emily, or sometimes it'll be a front desk. And our normal process in those cases is actually Philip, who's the one person in the department who's not here tonight. Philip will go out and verify, we'll mark them, and then come back and we'll check the location, whether that's private or public roadway. So we have a process in place. The next step for what you're suggesting would be for us to draft a standard letter to send out to educate them, to make them aware that it is their roadway, that they have the option potentially to turn it over to us, but ultimately they're responsible for those potholes at that point.
So
Okay,
on your street, we're gonna know if it's you.
Yeah, well,
okay, we can do that.
I can dig a hole in my road and see if the.
All right, so anyhow, let's get back on point here. We're, the increase, this is what, a $5,000 increase?
No,
How much?
no, it's,
60?
I'm trying to remember now. Marty, what was the change?
The transportation fund requested $60,000 for the general and emergency road repairs and $5,000 for the traffic signs. 65 in total.
Didn't we have a motion in a second already?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
But I don't want to come back to you for more.
Okay. So it's 65,000.
No, but no.
Okay. I'll reopen the public. Nobody came up, so came back to us for discussion. We ready? Any other discussion or call the question?
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
I know potholes don't cost that much money. No, that's a lot of money.
It's not just potholes, though.
No, I realize that's putting that in the budget to cover us, and if we don't use it, we won't spend it. But that's still a lot of money. I don't even know how you got a
Well-
figure like that.
The dilemma is they don't want to come back and ask for more. They want to ask for enough
Well,
to
the
cover to
dilemma
get
is
the
we
job
probably
done.
would say no. I mean, that's a lot of money. I don't know what else to say.
I think so, a couple of things. So this is an allocation, right? So this is not necessarily going to be spent right out of the box, right? This is making the money available if the proper needs arise. You know, if there's a need to spend it, it's going to be spent. If it turns out there's not a need to spend it, then it won't be spent, and it'll just be part of the money that rolls into next year's budget.
I get that, but you're not even, you don't know how many potholes, you don't know who will be doing the work or what they charge or anything, and like,
Well, we have contractors that
Yeah,
we
we know
contract
who
with.
will do the work and how much they'll charge, but you're right, we don't know how many potholes and we don't know where they're going to be.
and so to take money and allocate that much money, I just think it's a lot of money. I don't even know how they would come up with that amount.
I think the other point that I'd like to make is that this is why we do TISDOR. It's because these expenses are only going to grow larger and larger and larger. Our roads are deteriorating, even with TISDOR. I think our roads are deteriorating faster than the TISDOR project is
Without a
replacing
doubt.
them. And so, you know, this is a big number, you're right, but it's only going to get worse. And so that's why TISDOR is so essential, and we may even have to look at increasing that amount, not this year,
Annual.
but yeah,
Yeah.
if we're going to get on a schedule that gets us back on
On track.
back on
Time.
track in, 15 to 20 years rather than 20 to 25 years. So, but in lieu of that, these are the kind of expenses and these are the kind of issues we're going to have to pay for as our roads get older and older.
Well, I'd rather approve this than have them have to come back and ask us again.
So would I.
So, call the question, please.
Councilmember Schroeder?
I'm going to say no, just because I think it's too much money to be put in for this, so I say no.
Councilmember Bright Cruz?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fisickelli?
Yes.
Mayor McKay?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Okey doke. One more item.
No, we have the minutes. It's,
Yep, number 9. That's it. Number 9. Approval of minutes.
For both of them?
Motion, anybody?
I'll make a motion to approve the
I'll
minutes.
second.
Okay, any public comment on minutes? 'Cause
I guess
we've been-
both. I'm making a motion to approve both.
Okay.
And a second for both.
Any input from the public, because we've been corrected before? Seeing none, public comment closed. Any discussion on the matter? Seeing no discussion, call the question.
Councilmember Schroeder?
Yes.
Councilmember Bright Cruz?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fisickelli?
Yes.
Mayor McKay?
Yes,
Motion passes.
awesome. Adjourn. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for coming out. Appreciate it.
I'm not giving that back. That's mine.